I most certainly believe that lots of people, because of this video and others, that they're going to think twice about using Tren and or other performance-enhancing drugs, and hopefully they're going to decide to stay natural. Coach Greg, in today's video, this is Tren. If you're watching this video right now, you're watching this video right now. And what does that mean? It proves to the world that Tren is still the most popular steroid that people like to talk about. Testosterone by a mile is used way more than Tren, thank God. But Tren is so infamous that more people want to learn about it than they do about HRT and so on. And so we have Dr. Alex Tatum. Perhaps he's going to put on a few moves. And so he's going to explain to us what Tren does to the human body, having never done it in his life. What do I think of that? I think that he perhaps read a lot about it. He understands based on the research, but he doesn't have first-hand experience, of which I have in spades. I've used Tren, I believe, 10 times. I've used up to 700 milligrams a week, and I've used it as low as 100 milligrams per week. I've used Tren acetate, Tren enanthate, and Tren hexa something. I called it Tren hexa. And so I'm going to watch this video on double speed and add to it where I see fit in the hopes that you will watch the video and be convinced that it's the most dangerous steroid in the world and you don't need to do it. And so let me start off this video by saying Larry Wheels used Tren. Tren can make you go crazy, can turn you into a deviant of the sexy time variety. And so please, please be careful.
Trenbolone, arguably the most powerful anabolic steroid ever created. Also, arguably the most dangerous one you can put in your body. Although really, if we're talking most toxic, I'd probably have to go to check drops.
Check drops, use those, very liver toxic, but Tren, it's actually worse, and it's not worse by milligram per milligram and so on. It's just worse because more people are doing it. It's more common, and so the overall negativity of this drug, it's far worse. Technically speaking, alcohol is worse than Tren because there are more people that are drinking alcohol, and so more people get problems. But on a person-per-person scale, Tren is pretty bad.
Doc, is there a Tren cycle that's actually safe to use? My response is, unless you're a cow that's headed to the slaughterhouse in the next 2 to 3 weeks, chances are probably not.
And so technically, is there a Tren cycle that's safe to use? The answer is yes. The cycle involves 0.0001 milligram per week. And so the dose makes the poison. The problem is most people are taking way too much. Case in point, myself, taking 700 milligrams. Or, for example, I coach who's decided to double it, 1,400 milligrams a week. The results were not good. Well, he won the bodybuilding show, but kind of went crazy after that.
Trenbolone was never, and I mean never, designed for human use. It was always developed just to make cows bigger.
If you're using this and you're not actually identifying as a cow, well, there's something wrong with you. Now, those of you who do identify as cow, I guess it's 2026, and I can't say you're an idiot or a moron because that would make me a bad person, right? And so if you want to take Tren, you best be identifying as a cow.
Trenbolone cannot be converted into estrogen. Zero, none, zilch. And this is why Tren users don't get the bloating and water retention that comes from other steroids, including nandrolone.
One of the reasons people like Tren so much for doing bodybuilding competitions is it doesn't convert to estrogen the way that testosterone does. When you use testosterone, oftentimes you get that bloated moon face. You've seen it on myself in my past. You're holding water retention. You're gaining a significant amount of weight, but a lot of that is water in the muscle under the skin, and so it's not pure contractile muscle tissue. When you use Tren before competition, you can get a harder, grainier, more dry appearance, which many people love.
There are basically 3 main esters. Trenbolone acetate is by far the most common. Also known as Tren Ace, it has a half-life of about 3 days.
From personal experience, I would say it's closer to 2 days. And so if you're using Tren Ace, you want to inject it more so at least bare minimum every 2 days. If you wait for 3, there's going to be too many peaks and valleys, which isn't good. You don't want that. You pin Tren Ace in the morning, and literally by the evening, you're feeling it. It's already negatively affecting your sleep. Your cortisol levels are through the roof, and it makes you feel unwell. Now, Does it help you to build more muscle and train harder than last time in the gym? Well, absolutely. But it does come at a cost to your sanity, your feeling of well-being, and your ability to sleep. Not to mention the dreaded tren cough, which is horrendous. It feels like you're going to have to go to the hospital. You're having difficulty breathing. It is not good.
Trenbolone enanthate has a longer half-life of about 7 to 10 days.
Now, Tren nth half-life of up to 7 to 10 days, but my recommendation is still going to be, you still want to use this more than once a week. If you only inject it once per week, you're still going to get some peaks and valleys. And with drugs as strong as this, you don't want to have these fluctuations. And so if I were to ever use Tren nth again, which I most certainly would not, I would be using at least 2 injections per week.
There's Trenbolone hexahydrobenzyl carbonate, the original parabolin. This has a half-life of about 14 days. But here's the thing, legitimate pharmaceutical parabolin doesn't exist anymore.
Anytime you're buying Tren, don't ever believe that somehow it's pharmaceutical, that you got it from a doctor. All of this is made underground. You're either purchasing it pre-made from another country, or people are getting the powders and they're bringing it into your country and they're making it from here. Okay. And so this one, the Hexa, it's longer than last time and it's for approximately 2 weeks and it's the most expensive. In my opinion, it's not worth the extra cost. It's already expensive enough. And with a half-life of up to 2 weeks, what this means is even when you stop months later, it's still in your system. And so if you're experiencing negative side effects from this Tren, the longer esters, and you want it to finally be over, good luck.
Good luck, everybody else!
A half-life of 2 weeks, what that means is that 2 weeks later, still half of it is left. And so if you injected, let's say, 200 milligrams, which technically isn't a lot, although it still is, 2 weeks later, you still have 100 milligrams. And 2 weeks after that, it's 50, and then 2 weeks later, 25, 12 and a half, 6 and a quarter, and it keeps going on like that. And so if you do a large dosing, and you say, oh, I'll just do it once a week, once every 2 weeks, a month later, there's still a shit ton in your system. And so please be careful. That means that if you're trying to do your PCT or you're thinking, hey, I've been off for 6 weeks. No, you haven't. You haven't injected for 6 weeks, but that drug from 6 weeks ago is still affecting you right now. And so you're going to take months before you're actually natural. And we all know once you've injected, you're not lifetime natural, but you know what I'm saying.
Trenbolone has significant affinity for the progesterone receptor. And this is where things get interesting, and by interesting I mean potentially terrible for your sex life and the rest of your life.
And so with Tren, it affects your progesterone, and that's why many people are going to take pramipixole or gastrogoline. These were 2 drugs that I took in the past. I've seen people get dramatically sick from taking Prami, for example, throwing up, not feeling well. And some people actually will get gynecomastia forming from the progesterone. Testosterone is known to form gyno. This is female breast tissue development in men. It's not good. Oftentimes they'll take, for example, Arimidex or Nolva or Clomid or Femra to prevent these. You can also have changes in your sexual libido. Some people want it more, some people want it less. And so be careful.
By blocking cortisol's action, it essentially tells your body, nope, we're not breaking down any muscle. Find your fuel somewhere else. So where else does your body turn? To fat stores.
And so what he's saying is that Tren allows for nutrient partitioning to occur. Whatever food that you're eating, it's turning to muscle. It's not going to be stored as body fat. Now, the negative part of this is that Tren is going to increase your stress response, increase your cortisol, make it more difficult to sleep, causing you to sweat more during your sleep. And we all like to refer to this as trensomnia. You can't sleep, you feel horrendous. It is bad.
This is a massive problem.
One of the things I despise about Tren, not just in the evening, was during the day. I had a dramatic increase in anxiety, restlessness. I just felt unwell every hour, each and every day. We all know Dr. Mike, who says he doesn't take any Tren right now and only use micro doses. Well, he literally is taking CBD in the mornings, control the fact that all he felt was rage.
Here's where I have to be honest with you guys, and this might surprise some of you, but there is actually no quality human data on Trenbolone.
And so what makes it interesting for me is that some people will say, for example, that Turk Builder Max and Turk Platinum that it doesn't work. They'll believe that it's snake oil. Despite the fact that I've been vindicated, that we've proven that we have actual Ajuga turkistanica from Uzbekistan, there's still people that believe that it doesn't work. And so you're saying, well, it cannot work because there's no human data proving it. You know, it's studies. There are no human research studies using trenbolone, but yet it's the strongest steroid known to man. We know this, but there's no human study. Do you really think you're going to get an approval from ethics board? Yeah, I want to use this group A, 500 milligrams of Tren a week, and this group 200 milligrams, this one nothing, and we'll see which puts on the most muscle. They won't approve that. And so just because there are no human studies proving that said drug works doesn't mean said drug doesn't work. Tren works, albeit with horrible side effects, and Ajuga turkistanica, aka turkesterone, works, and if it doesn't, you get your money back and a $50 gift card. And so hopefully that makes sense.
Anecdotal evidence from the online bodybuilding community is what most of our understanding of Tren has come from. And look, I don't want to dismiss this. When thousands of people report similar experiences, there's probably something to it.
Where do we get information from? Well, aside from cow studies, which don't translate very well, or case reports of which people say, hey, I'm in the hospital, I took Tren, trust me, bro, this was my milligrams. That is all that they have aside from anecdotal experiences, which is what people report. They'll say, I took Tren and I felt this way. I took Tren and did this, which is the same as Turk Builder Max and Turk Platinum. I took Turk and I put on this amount of muscle. I got this much stronger and I bought this many more times. Now, what I have is repeat buyers. When you buy a product and you keep rebuying it, that is very strong evidence that you like it, because if you didn't, why would you keep rebuying it? If people hated the product, wouldn't we be getting hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of people taking us up on the $100 money back guarantee and the $50 gift card? But yet we hardly have it any. And so does it not make sense that the people who are buying the product and rebuying it are rebuying it because it actually works? And so if you compare the safety profile of turkesterone compared to the fact that you're probably breaking the law using Tren and endangering your body, which drug do you think you should get? Not that Turk is actually a drug.
You might be wondering, why does anyone take this stuff? And if bodybuilding were purely about moving the needle on hypertrophy and body composition, trenbolone would be the undisputed champion.
And so what I can tell you is that people use Tren because they want to win, and they'll do anything to have the body of their dreams. I did it. I know why I used it. I know why I took those risks, because I wanted to be an IFBB pro. I wanted it more than anything. And so if I was willing to do it with great genetics, competing as a professional, competing 59 times, as obsessive as I am about being the best that I can be, then it's very easy to understand why others would do it. He says, we don't know how strong it is. I'll tell you how strong it is. It's approximately 3 times stronger than test. And so if you use 600 milligrams of test in a cycle before, and you want to know roughly how strong trenbolone is, 200 milligrams of Tren would build about the same amount of muscle as 600 milligrams of test. And so it's approximately 3 times stronger. And so when people say, I didn't use a lot of Tren, I only used 300 milligrams a week, that would be like using 900 milligrams of test. And so it is, in fact, a lot.
Tren's nutrient partitioning effects are unlike anything else. Your body becomes remarkably efficient at shuttling nutrients toward muscle tissue and away from fat storage.
And so when you're a bodybuilder and you're dieting down and you want to have the leanest physique possible, and you're suffering, like, you have no idea what suffering is like until you've hit 4 or 5% body fat and you need to get a bit leaner. You're starving yourself, you're doing cardio, you have no energy, and you have the blinders on. All you see is victory. You're willing to take anything. Perhaps you wouldn't have taken that in the start. Do you really think I would have been willing to take Tren when I was 18, 19, 20, 28, whatever? I competed 42 times natural before I ever used performance-enhancing drugs. You might start off thinking, hey, I'm going to be natural. I'm not going to take steroids. You might have been like Alex Eubank. Hey, 100% natural. Before you know it, the temptations, the comparisons to other people, wanting an IFBB Pro card, and eventually you do it. Now, when I was young, the advantage I had is I didn't have Instagram to feed to me incredible physiques every single day, swiping left, swiping right, look, and having to compare myself to other people. And so I thought I was amazing. I'm a teenager. I'm in my 20s. I think I'm an amazing bodybuilder. I don't need steroids. I can beat those guys without them. And then I could when I was younger. until I got to the national level. I feel bad for kids these days because they see guys like Togi using steroids or perhaps clavicular, or even a youngster like Eric English who's clearly been influenced by older people using steroids to perhaps decide to hop on. And so you're looking at these young people, they're perhaps your idols, you're thinking, well, I too can do it. It starts with maybe it's Chris Bumstead, then you see Sam Sulik, and before you know it, all the teenagers are hopping on. It's sad. I wish I could do something about it. And so I make these videos in order to warn you.
Trenbolone users reported significant gains despite flaws in training and diet. This compound is so powerful, it can compensate for suboptimal adherence.
And so think of it. You have a suboptimal diet. You know, great example of Mr. Mike. He's eating his cheesy puffs and his 4 pure protein bars a day and cereal and Gatorade, bread, whatever. He just eats whatever. He goes to the gym and half-asses it, uses his Renaissance Periodation app, and he messes around. And yet he can still put on muscle. He was putting on tons of it. Because when you abuse steroids, especially Tren, you can put on muscle despite the fact that you're working out half-assed and you're not eating effectively. And so can you now see why bodybuilders especially would want to use Tren?
The muscle you build looks hard, dry, striated, and mature. This gives you that Tren look that bodybuilders obsess over.
And so no water retention, that lean, dry look, the fact that you could take Retta, Ozempic, Tirzepatide, GLPs, and so on, which dramatically reduce your cravings. There's no food noise, almost none whatsoever. And you take Tren, and so you essentially can starve max and build muscle at the same time. And so even women, even bikini girls, I've witnessed use Tren. I've witnessed bikini girls injecting Tren into their quads. And I'm thinking, what is wrong with these people? I've witnessed this when I was natural. I'm natural. I won't even use it. I'm watching a woman inject Tren into her quad with a 22 gauge needle. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you're going to stick that in there? I'm not making this shit up. And I'm watching her inject 0.3 mLs of Tren Ace into her quad. How is there no side effects? There was. Sorry to say. If you inject Tren as a woman, and you do 30 milligrams, even 10, you are visually going to see a difference within a week for certain. Completely going to change you. Your voice is going to change. You're perhaps going to lose some hair. You can get some acne, all kinds of side effects. This is going to grow. Trust me, guys, please be careful. But yet it's still worth it. And so if women, of all people, are willing to use Tren, which is supposed to be for cows. Don't you think there's going to be some teenagers that are willing to do it? They're not smart enough. Their brain hasn't developed. They're teenagers. They look up to certain people. They want to be like their hero. They want to be famous. They want to be popular. They want to have money. They want to have girls. And so teenagers, hopefully you're watching my video and you're understanding that you're not ready to do those kinds of decisions.
The results are undeniable, but the problem is the price you pay for those results. Because the side effect profile of Tren reads like an actual horror story.
It's bad for you. It's bad for your cholesterol. It's bad for your liver. It's bad for your heart. It's bad, 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 bad. Everything is bad. Nothing is good. There are so many negative side effects that if you use Tren, you're simply a moron. You're a moron because you think that winning the IFBB Pro card or the Mr. Olympia title is worth more than your health. You haven't thought of it clearly. And I understand. I did it myself. I too was a moron. In that moment, you think that what you're doing right now is the only thing that matters. You feel like right now, it's about everything. I'm telling you, you're going to have a future where you're going to look back and think, oh, I can't believe I did that. As if it was more important. Winning a pro show. Winning an amateur even. People are doing this and they're amateurs. People are doing this. They're not even competitors. I know people who use Tren for their first cycles and they weren't even using testosterone as a base. And I'm like, you don't buy a race car before you learn to drive. I mean, it's one thing if you've used every steroid in the world and you can't make any more results and you add in Tren in order to win your IFBB Pro card. That's one thing. It's still bad. But to just use Tren and not even be competing for a pro card, not even be competing even, you're just stupid. And you know it. I mean, I feel like this makes sense. You understand why I'm making this video right now, right? And you're still watching it, so hopefully you're taking it all in.
There are reports of heart failure, strokes, left ventricular hypertrophy, which means that your heart muscle thickens abnormally, all linked to Tren usage.
Erectile dysfunction, future heart attacks, atherosclerosis, arteriosclerosis. I mean, all the rosises, this is just sounding really bad. And so if you didn't study in school and know what all these things actually mean, just understand this. It's going to kill you. That is what it's doing.
In theory, you would think that injectable trenbolone should be relatively liver friendly, but in practice, that's not the case.
It's not even an oral, and it's still hard on your liver. I mean, orals, we all know, like Anavar, Winstrol, D-Bol, Androl, Superdrol, the list goes on and on. Bad for your liver. This, it's an injectable and still bad for your liver. Hopefully, you're not also drinking while using steroids at the same time.
And that elevated stress over time, also caused by the elevated blood pressure that comes along with Tren, further strains the kidneys.
And the increase in blood pressure, not to mention the strain on your kidneys. Kidneys, when they go, you cannot get it back. The liver, very resilient. Sometimes you can do damage to your liver and it comes back. The kidneys, you can't destroy your kidneys.
And the recovery from Tren is notoriously difficult and prolonged. Because of its unique pharmacology, many users report that their natural hormone production just takes a lot longer to bounce back compared to other steroids.
And so when you're using Tren and then you stop, you had all the negative side effects. You didn't watch this video, you're on Tren right now. You're thinking, yeah, I need that to stop. And you go off. You're thinking, yeah, you know, my body will bounce back. And unfortunately, Tren is notoriously much more difficult to bounce back from. Your LH and your FSH, your ball sack, it's going to take so much longer to once again produce testosterone. Not to mention, we talked about that notoriously long half-life. If you're using the hexa form of Tren or Tren and enthate, it's staying with you for a hell of a long time. And so at least with Tren Ace, it's out of your system. But even though it's gone, the damage, it has been done. And it's going to take a long time to bring the Twin Towers, aka your nutsack, back to fruition. And so if you use Tren, you got to be careful. You most certainly going to need to use a PCT, post-cycle therapy, in order to bounce back. Because if you don't, it's going to be a long and shitty ride of feeling depressed and not perhaps being able to get an erection, having reduced testosterone levels, and week by week watching your muscles disappear, aka just look at Connor.
Oh my God!
There's trensomnia, the inability to sleep despite being exhausted. Users report lying awake for hours, drenched in sweat, mind racing. We're talking night sweats so severe you have to change your sheets.
And so he's not exaggerating about the trensomnia, the sweats. I literally would get up and I would have to put a towel and fold it over, like multiple towels, sweat so much it would go through the towels onto the sheet. I'm telling you, women, when they sleep next to you and this is happening, they don't like it. Also, when you use Tren, sometimes you have a certain odor. It's a Tren smell. I don't understand it, but it's like you can smell somebody using Tren.
Tren cough, a classic. We're talking a violent, uncontrollable coughing fit that happens immediately after injection. This could happen technically with any steroid if it gets into the venous system.
I've never had it with any other injectable soft Tren. Only have I had this with Tren. Let's make it clear.
Dramatically decreased cardiopulmonary capacity. Guys who could run miles beforehand and start Tren find themselves all of a sudden getting winded just going upstairs.
So you have a reduction in cardiovascular ability. And so imagine if Coach Greg was on Tren trying to race bikes faster than last time. It wouldn't work. Your cardio output is down. Now remember, if you are in fact trying to improve your cardio, of course you're not going to use Tren. You use GO2 Max. This will allow you to do cardio longer than last time as well as harder than last time and improve your non-exercise activity thermogenesis following the cardio. And so you have more energy, you feel more recovered, you essentially feel better each and every day. Highly recommended, code Greg, 15% off. It's the #2 seller after Turk at HDLT Supplements.
Let me put that into plain English so there's no misunderstanding here. Tren may be literally killing your brain cells and promoting the same pathology that we see in Alzheimer's.
I don't want any part of that whatsoever, but remember, it's too late for me. I've already used it, and so please don't make the same mistakes that I have.
The more Tren, the more aggression. And we're not talking about healthy assertiveness in the gym. We're talking about relationships destroyed, careers ended, legal problems, violence, and divorce.
All these guys attacking people like that UFC fighter, Rampage's coach or manager, and he's elbowing a guy because he looks at him and says, I might make a viral clip with you. And he's walking away and he attacks him. It's like, did you really need to do that? Yeah. He was talking smack, but that little guy was not going to hurt you. He wasn't about to hit you. You aren't in no imminent danger, but bro's probably on steroids, maybe Tren. And so He can't hold himself back. And so the internet, it loves it. You're all psychopaths. You're all sociopaths. You're all weirdos. You're all people I don't want to talk to because you're all deranged lunatics. And I was the one that took Tren. Are you all on Tren? Why are you so sadistic that you want to see other people suffer?
The mental health effects reported by users include extreme aggression, paranoia, severe anxiety, impaired judgment, depression, and mood swings so violent they feel like a different person.
And so essentially you become Mr. Mike.
Man, it'd be cool to like fight a dog with just your hands.
Also, you could become Larry Wheels. And becoming Mr. Wheels and Mr. Mike, I mean their behaviors, what they enjoy doing, what they like, how they act, what they say. Do you get it now?
Tren is associated with an insatiable hypersexuality that goes beyond just increased libido. Users report intrusive sexual thoughts, compulsive behaviors, and attraction to things they've previously never been interested in.
If somebody takes Tren, are you telling me that they might like watching other men perhaps have sexy time with their girlfriend or significant other? Are you saying that might happen? Or that you might enjoy being with another man?
Gay!
If you take Tren, does that mean that you're gay? That you're trying to convert your identity to wanting another man? If you take Tren and you know that it can do this, does that actually mean that you're gay? And so, by definition, people who use Tren are gay.
So how did a cattle drug become a cultural phenomenon? How do we go from Finaplex pellets and a cow ears to guys on TikTok joking about how Tren makes everything better?
And so essentially, we've memified Tren, we've made it look cool, and despite the fact that it's bad, does bad things, I mean, he literally mentioned John Skywalker. I mean, how did that work out for John? I mean, poor John, you've seen what has happened. Do you really want that to happen to you? The Tren twins, they've used Tren. Their name is Tren Twins. Do you not think that influences at least 1,000 people to use Tren? I mean, they can say in videos, don't use Tren as many times as they want. But when your name is the Tren Twins and you're getting millions of views and it's now cool, people are going to use it.
Eat clean, Tren hard, and I've already give up. You've seen that one of my favorites. Tren makes everything better. These are jokes, but they could potentially normalize a substance that might just take you out.
And so essentially what's happened is we've normalized Tren. Once you talk about it enough, the stigma goes down, it becomes mainstream. People don't think, oh my God, that's really something bad. I should stay away from it. You hear the word each and every day. It's kind of like when you witness violence on movies, cartoons, for example. If you've seen that 1,000 times, for example, Rambo or Arnold Schwarzenegger in various movies, and they're using certain things and you see what happens. And if you see that thousands and thousands of times, then when you actually see it in the real world, you've been desensitized from it so much that you think it's normal. We watch UFC, we watch boxing, and when you see that man elbow quickly another man for just really just talking smack to him a little bit, y'all cheer for it. We watch clavicular drive over a human being with a Cybertruck because you think it's GTA 6. You can blame it on yourself. You can blame it on the society. Hell, you can blame it on the rain. You guys know that song? But in the end, how does it matter?
It doesn't matter!
Whoever gets blamed, is that really going to affect your life? And so if you've been desensitized to taking Tren and now you decide to take Tren and you blame it on all the social media influencers, you blame it on the Tren twins. In the end, it's your problem that now you're gay.
And I'm not naive enough to think that this little YouTube video is going to stop someone who's determined to use it. And honestly, that's not my goal.
I actually think that it will deter some people from using. You really think that I'm making this video and I think that there's no one that's not going to take Tren because of this video. I most certainly believe that lots of people, because of this video and others, that they're going to think twice about using Tren and or other performance-enhancing drugs, and hopefully they're going to decide to stay natural. Remember, if you're on the fence, it's obviously a no, and if you want to use Tren, it's still a no. Do you get it now?
If you're Chris Bumstead or Derek Lunsford or one of the handful of elite competitors, that calculation may be different. They have access to medical supervision, regular monitoring.
No. None of those guys have some kind of a doctor that's making the drugs that they're using healthy or somehow not bad. It's all bad, but what they've decided in that moment in time, remember Chris is in his 20s, that making tens of millions of dollars, it's worth more than the longevity of my future. Chris essentially was saying, as he's winning the 5th and 6th Mr. Olympia titles, is this is more important to me right now, winning, getting the dopamine from the victory, than living into my 70s and 80s and 90s. That's what he's saying, because you're literally trading your future for winning right now.
It can damage what makes you, your personality, your relationships, your judgment. There are reports of people becoming unrecognizable to their partners, their families, and themselves, and those aren't exaggerations.
Like, I could make a totally different video on just what people have told me. People telling me things in confidence. Remember, I coach these people. I know what it does. And so if you just take Tren and you think you're cool because the Tren twins have Tren in their name, you're just a frigging idiot. You're too young. You don't know any better. Remember, I'm 50 years of age and I once was you. And if I could go back in time, I would warn my previous self to not do it. And so just pretend that I am you, your future self, and that in this moment, I have just rewound the clock by 25 years. And I'm warning you, don't inject the Tren. Please stop. 25 years from now, you can thank yourself for warning you later.
Thank you, Greg.
Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please don't forget to go to AlgoRx, get your blood work done to see how turk you are from using the Tren and the other steroids. And perhaps they can now prescribe you other things to mitigate the damages. Perhaps you need telmisartan. Perhaps you can't get it up. You need some Cialis. Perhaps you need a GLP to make you less hungry. Whatever. Get to AlgoRx and use code Greg for 10% off. Don't forget natural supplements. For example, the Cico bar, CICO, you can get that on the website for 50% off. It's only $20. You can get Blue Lobster, you can get the creatine, the pre-pump, all the different supplements, the G-test, and so on. And so get over there, code Greg, 15% off. And of course, you get the cookbook. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Like this video if you liked it. Hopefully, many people are going to watch this and refrain from using steroids, especially Tren. Don't forget to watch the top bloop. Don't even bother with the bottom. The top one, it's more important. And if you're looking to get sponsored, click and apply. You can sponsor more athletes. If you want to carry the supplements in your stores and our gyms, click the link. And if you want to get coached by me and myself and my team, click the link and apply right now. And until next time, I am out.